Thanks everyone. So my name is Bhavesh. I'm the head of Global Bespoke Management. So my team look after the managed services for some of our biggest clients who operate their strategies across markets. I'm joined by two legends from Australia and the US. I'll let them introduce themselves.
Brilliant, thank you. Okay, yeah. Hi, I'm Zane McIntyre. Sorry, I'm the regional MD of Awin APAC. I'm also the CEO and co-founder of the Commission Factory Network in Australia.
Hi everyone, I'm Piper Donnelly. I'm an account director in the US, so I head up one of our teams that manages some of our enterprise clients.
Perfect, thanks guys. So there's a few goals for today's session. The main thing is we want to take you through some trends and insights from across different regions and markets and give you a view of what's happening in the affiliate industry. And the main takeaway really is for us to help you kind of inform some of your regional marketing strategies. And we're going to kick off with Zane and the APAC market.
All right, I'm going to stand because I didn't take my ADHD meds, so I kind of fidget around a little bit. So yeah, couldn't get them through immigration apparently. Okay, so let's see. I will get straight into this. So I don't have a great deal of time to speak with you all today. I think it's about 7 minutes or so. So I will only be scratching the surface of the APAC market, but by all means, please come and talk to me afterwards if you have some other questions. So you might all know who this handsome fellow is. So thinking about, or I would like to start maybe, I guess, with busting a myth about the APAC market. So it isn't just one market, it is two. So it is Australia and Southeast Asia. So one of these markets is kind of established and I guess very steady. The other is fragmented and mobile first, but it is powering ahead. Australia is a Western country in an Eastern region. Whilst North America is, I guess, consolidating, Europe is maybe sort of leveling out, Southeast Asia is onboarding about 1 million first-time shoppers quite regularly. And then Australia is mature, so it's already in second gear. It is, I guess, there's a lot of high penetration there and it's hyper-competitive. But between the two markets, there is a sort of thread that sort of brings us both together. And so I think, yes, next one, sorry, I won't put this down. Okay. Australians are kind of like financial ninjas. So they love a discount, but they just want you to sort of think that they paid full price for it. So tell them there's a 15% cash back and they're in. Ask them if they used a coupon. They'll look down at their phone like they didn't hear what you just had to say. So it means that transparency and subtlety are keen in the market. So it's about feeling savvy and not seen. This is why affiliate, I guess, works really well in our marketplace. It sort of delivers that value out to a wide audience. And it doesn't mean that somebody has to publicly admit that they're a tight ass. It's like them saying, I'm not cheap, I'm just good with money. So, and let's also not forget that Australians love frequent flyer points and loyalty points. They hoard them like they're going out of fashion. I would say probably after the Aussie dollar, it's the most highly traded currency in Australia. So you can buy them for just about anything these days. So, you know, whether it's, well, for flights, handbags, lawnmowers, that type of thing as well. So Australians, you know, will continue to buy with frequent flyer points. They will collect them in any way, shape or form that they can. And if you've ever looked at a map and you know where Australia is, surprisingly some people don't, or if you've ever been out there, you would know just how damn far away it is from everything else. And I should know, it took me 36 hours to get here to speak to you guys for 7 minutes. So, you're welcome, you're welcome. So yeah, we don't collect points, you know, to just reduce the cost of our next, you know, 50-hour flight. So, but, you know, if we decide one year that we're not going to actually fly, then I guess we'll buy an air fryer with it, because that's what everybody does these days, right? So it's not just a nice to have, it is a pseudo currency that's deeply tied to how Australians perceive value. Okay, and so if Australia shops like a poker player, then Southeast Asia shops like they're on a game show. So SEA consumers love mega sales, whether it's 11/11, 12/12, 9/9. They basically turn the calendar into one big shopping countdown. So some of you guys may know about some of these ones. And so I'm not exaggerating though when I say that shopping in Southeast Asia is a form of entertainment. So it was Shopee, sold 11 million items in 5 minutes during one of these mega sales. There was 85 billion hours of live stream consumed during Singles Day. And I would say that that's not just e-commerce. I mean, that's Netflix level content. And if you're not part of the show, then your brand is barely even part of the audience. And so SEA consumers don't just buy, they want to spin a wheel, they want to, get a voucher, they want to watch an influencer apply 10 levels of foundation, and then they'll buy. So it is definitely e-commerce meets theatre. And so let's just talk about affiliate in Australia. So it is the delivery mechanism for deals and value within Australia. It's kind of like a version of clipping coupons, I guess, in the Sunday paper. It's the cashback, it's your loyalty points, it's your welcome 10 code that you've already used 5 times. And in SEA, it's a whole other beast. So it is in the marketplaces, it's your delivery driver, it's your TikTok live streamer, your uncle who's selling the Bluetooth speakers that he got off the back of a truck, on Lazada. And ShopBack itself, one of the biggest cashback providers in the region, has about 40 million users, which I think is actually probably bigger than the population of Canada. So that sort of a user base, I mean, we're talking is not just a tool, it's basically become infrastructure. And so whether it's subtle discounts or live stream theatrics, affiliate is how the value gets there in Asia Pacific. And if you're not in the mix, then somebody else is winning your customers with a discount and a smile. Okay. All right, so as I said, I don't have very long with you today, so I'll finish up with a few little takeaways here. Consumers love value, especially in Australia, but you need to sneak it in like you're hiding vegetables in your kids' dinner. So it's loyalty, it's exclusive codes, make the deal feel smart, not cheap. Second, in Southeast Asia, urgency, excitement, and spectacle drive buying patterns over there. So if you're not in the 11-11 or the Singles Day game, you're already behind. So be loud, be proud, and don't be afraid of a little glitter. And third, mobile is king. So if your website or your campaign is not scrollable while somebody sits in the toilet, then it's not going to work. And finally, don't assume that what worked in London or LA will work in Sydney or Kuala Lumpur. So we did have a brand one time that ran a campaign in Australia, went very, very well. That same campaign in Malaysia, absolute crickets. What was the issue there? It was a lack of localization and ignorance of how what the consumers are like in that region. I mean, it's like turning up to a barbecue, I guess, with like tofu sausages. I mean, it's technically correct, but nobody's impressed. So in the region, you do have to adopt the tone, the offer, the delivery, and you need to get it right. And if you do that, you'll not only win customers, but you'll also gain mates. So thank you, that is me done. I will hand over to my colleagues. I do have to run to another session, so if you haven't heard enough of my sultry tones, I am going to be on the yellow track hosting Who Wants to Be an Affiliate. We do have some prizes, so if you do want to win some free shit, come along. Thank you.
Thanks, Zane. All right, I will warn you guys, I'm not as funny as Zane, so just keep that in mind. But I'm going to be taking us through the Americas, so we'll start with the US. And the first thing to know about the US market is it is massive and there's a ton of opportunity. It's the second largest e-commerce market globally, only behind China, slated to do $1.2 trillion in e-commerce sales this year. Amazon is pretty dominant in the market. They hold about 38% of the market share in terms of e-commerce sales, followed by a few other key retailers like Walmart, eBay, which leaves about 50% of the market share for all other brands, retailers, sellers, which sounds small, but half of 1.2 trillion is still massive. Americans also are loving marketplaces like Temu, Shein, TikTok. We've seen the majority of Americans shop at one of these over the last 12 months. And we actually saw TikTok Shop triple their Black Friday sales in 2024 versus 2023. So just massive growth with those types of marketplaces. In terms of consumer shopping habits, they're changing pretty rapidly in the US. And that's really being driven by generational shopping habits, technology, and economic trends. Gen Z and millennials make up about 70% of e-commerce shoppers in North America. And one thing that Gen Z and millennials love to do is shop through social media. We're seeing that grow really rapidly, and we don't expect that to stop anytime soon. We see about half of these shoppers starting their shopping journeys on social media. So if they want to search for, the best sneakers, they're searching on TikTok, searching on Instagram, not searching on Google as much. So not only is it important to have an influencer strategy if you want to drive success in the US, you also have to have accurate tracking to make sure that you're attributing sales accurately. We're also seeing a rise in personalized shopping, really driven by the rise in AI. So consumers want to see AI-driven product recommendations on sites, personalized marketing messaging. So one thing that Awin have to do a little Awin plug, is we have a ton of amazing technology partners that you can activate through one-click activation in our master tags. So make sure you're taking advantage of that to help automate some of this personalized shopping demand. You can also offer dynamic cashback rates, do A/B testing to understand what type of messaging works best with different audiences. And then given inflation, changing tariffs, uncertainty in the US market, consumers are pulling back on spending and searching for the best value for them. So they're looking for deals, cash back, free shipping, fast shipping, easy returns. They're becoming less brand loyal and really looking for the best value for them. So how do you run a successful program in the US? And the answer to that is have a diverse program. Make sure you're working with all different partner types, because that way, one, you're showing up where all of the consumers are shopping and looking, and two, it helps insulate your program against any unexpected changes with one partner or one partner type. And despite some of the economic uncertainty happening in the US market, all of our major partner types are seeing growth. So that just shows that you can drive growth with affiliate no matter what the circumstances are. So we covered why influencers are important, technology partners. Buy now, pay laters, we're also seeing a ton of growth in terms of users. And we're actually seeing Gen Z use these as discovery platforms, and they're searching because they only want to buy through brands that offer buy now, pay later as a payment method. Editorial is always going to be important for reaching new customers, driving traffic, amplifying certain messages. So always important to work with that partner type. And then of course, incentive partners are always going to have a place. They are great at driving revenue and conversions, as we all know, but also because of the shopping trends and deal-seeking nature of consumers right now, that's going to continue to grow. So I'm also going to take us through LATAM quickly, because I'm sure we're running out of time. But a little bit different than the US market. They've been experiencing major growth over the last 5 years. Biggest market here is Brazil, followed by Mexico. They're really retail heavy. About 50% of their online revenue comes from retail. And most consumers in LATAM are shopping and accessing the internet on their phones. So majority of e-commerce traffic happens on mobile devices. A few things to know about the LATAM market. So cashback is very popular and powerful. We see brands offer as high as 30% cashback in this market, and 10% of e-commerce sales in the region are happening on cashback sites. We're also seeing a lot of success with influencers. They actually drive 40% more revenue for beauty brands and fashion brands than traditional affiliate partners. And because everybody's accessing the internet on their phones, they're really popular. Similar to the US, major growth with buy now, pay laters. Majority of consumers in LATAM are buying through buy now, pay later, even for small ticket items, so keep that in mind. And one thing that we're seeing is marketplaces are really popular, specifically in Brazil, but we're actually seeing consumers move direct to consumer through affiliate strategies like working with cashback influencers and other niche affiliates. And the last thing that's unique is the government offers a 13th salary around the holiday shopping season. So we actually see an influx of shopping around that season given this extra payment, and Awin usually sees a higher AOV as a result. So to wrap things up, Make sure you're showing up everywhere consumers are shopping in the US, have a diverse program. In LATAM, cashback, very important, both markets, buy now, pay laters, and influencers. And with that, I will hand it over to Bhavesh.
Thanks, Patel. So I've split this up and put UK and Europe slightly separately. That's not like a Brexit thing or anything. It's just to differentiate the two. And it's because the UK is the most developed e-commerce market in the European region. Almost 90% of the population between the age of 16 to 74 actually shop online. And if you look at that trend there, you can actually see how much the online sales for just overall retail has actually trended up. And it's actually now over a quarter of all retail sales in the UK actually happen online. And you can see the peak around the COVID time, around 37.8. One thing that I looked into, which was pretty interesting, and this is more of an affiliate note in the UK, is the APMA did a survey last year looking at UK brands and advertisers and their kind of spending intent when it comes to ad spend. And more than half of those surveyed actually said that they intended to spend more in the affiliate channel. So as you can see, it's a resilient channel for the market. And it's something that is, you'll see in the results very shortly, how that's kind of progressing. Now, just touching on consumers. So the cost of living is actually still lending to challenges to UK consumers. And you can see some of the feedback from Statista and recent surveys where UK consumers are pulling back on their spending habits, and they're looking to spend a bit more smartly and trying to cut down on non-essential items. When we look at generational trends, Gen Z are actually a very unique group in terms of what they value in a brand or an advertiser that they purchase from. First thing is around sustainability and brand ethics, and they also look at product affordability a lot more than the rest of the population. There are some kind of positive trends though. If we look at travel and experiences, this is an area that UK consumers have actually a higher intent to spend on. If they're going to spend their money on non-essential items, they're looking at travel being something that's actually incredibly valuable. And also there's certain sectors that are actually bucking the trend. So whereas fashion and sports retail, for example, is struggling, garden centres, funnily enough, and furniture spending intent is actually up. So that's an interesting takeaway for the UK. Now, what does the Awin data show? So just talking back to the APMA point, you can see that the affiliate revenue from UK advertisers is actually up very slightly, but the performance so far in 2025 is up versus last year. And the spend is also up. 6% more commission is being spent this year versus last year. And the partner types that are benefiting from that are loyalty, content creators, and editorial. So there's a diverse group of partners that are actually powering that. And if we look on the sector side of things, some of our data actually matches up to some of the spending intent data. Home and garden, for example, is actually seeing resilient growth in the affiliate channel, according to our Awin data. So how do you actually win the market? Experimenting and finding new wins is going to be critical, especially in a market like the UK, which is actually very, very mature as an affiliate channel. So you can see some of the partner types that Piper also mentioned are crucial in the UK. Tech partners, for example. Two standouts for the UK market in particular is card-linked offers and retail media. So retail media is UK is one of the kind of leading markets powering that through the affiliate channel. We're seeing brands work with other brands in very kind of collaborative ways. And then content. So content diversification has happened at scale. The content creator category is actually the fastest kind of growing category on Awin, and the UK is one of the markets that is powering that. And finally, tracking. I think we've probably heard it a lot, but having the best kind of tracking, best-in-class tracking setup allows you to work with all of these partners in a scalable and easy way. So onto Europe, and there are some actually similar trends in Europe. One of the things is they are seeing that their e-shopper penetration continues to rise. There's some markets, however, where there's a huge challenge in this. Italy is one of like the biggest European markets, but actually their e-shopper penetration's low by comparison. If you think about France and Germany having over 70%, Italy is only half of the Italian population actually shop online. And you'll see from this graph here that there are actually some incredible smaller kind of countries that are growing at pace. And these are the markets that a lot of advertisers who operate at scale are launching affiliate programs into some of these smaller, newer markets because they know there's an opportunity there. And European consumer sentiment. So it's funny for me to say this, but European consumers do shop and eat smarter than the UK. That's something that was in the research, which is pretty funny, but also probably true. And then they also follow some of the UK trends, however, that they want to spend less and they're being careful about their spending due to cost of living. Italian consumers, however, match the UK in that they're happy to spend more on travel. And electronics was a strong sector for the UK in terms of spending intent, but for Europeans, they're saying that's not an essential item for them that they would kind of spend money on in 2025. And 75% of consumers in kind of recent surveys have said that they traded down. So if you think about marketplaces, things like Vinted, secondhand, there's a lot more kind of affordability factors for European consumers. And our Awin data. So Germany and France, the two biggest European markets, especially in the affiliate channel, are seeing double-digit revenue growth this year so far versus last year. And that's being powered by content. Content creators and editorial content, especially in France, are significantly up year on year. I mentioned some of the smaller markets that are seeing increased spend. We're seeing a lot of brands, again, launch programs in these markets. And some of the easy activations for them have been CSS. And CSS has been a significant revenue driver in some of the smaller Eastern European markets. So what's key for European growth? Well, first of all, content. I've mentioned, again, editorial and content creator growth. This is the same for Europe. We're seeing content partners, and if you think about an editorial partner like L'Equipe in France, it's a major media news site, and they are actually incredibly active in the affiliate channel. Testing is incredibly important if you have a multi-market program. Spain is actually perceived to be an ideal test market, and a lot of advertisers actually use Spain to test new ideas and test new tactics. The Polish market is still incredibly deal hunter heavy, so it's very important to have a very strong incentive strategy in a market like Poland. And in the Nordic regions, we're actually seeing some of the established incentive partners diversify their tactics as well. So they're opening up student platforms, they're opening up closed user group platforms, because these are the things that consumers are finding more value in. And finally, regulations. I think it was mentioned in a previous session, but regulations in Europe are pretty stringent and wide-ranging, so you have to navigate through very different regulations depending on the market. And finally, from us, we just wanted to give you a bit of a guide to driving global success. How do you not only operate successful affiliate strategies regionally, but if you have a strategy that is stretched across multiple markets, how do you navigate that? And the main thing here is having a flexible approach, ensuring that you have flexibility. What works in one market may not work in another. Diversification is important. We've talked about some of the partners that drive that, especially content. And then data. So I mentioned tracking being incredibly important. And if you power Awin with the right data points, you'll not only get better analytics, but you'll find better ways to optimize. And finally, we do see loads of brands kind of not see the affiliate channel as something that can drive brand awareness or hype, but there's so many partners on Awin that can actually help power brand awareness campaigns. And investment in this is actually incredibly important to do through the affiliate channel. So yeah, these are our kind of final points on driving global success, and that's it from us.
Yeah, thanks everyone.